What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 70 of the Everything Medicare Podcast, and I am Christian Brindle. I'm your host, and happy July. We're officially on the second half of the year in month 7 of 12, and I hope wherever you are and however you may be listening that this podcast finds you doing well, healthy, happy, had a great weekend, and ready to start the week. If you missed it, on Saturday, I uploaded my interview. It was episode 69 with Justin Brock, and it was an awesome conversation. It was the longest podcast that I have ever done to this day on the Everything Medicare Podcast. It was over an hour long, but it was an awesome conversation, tons of insight from a guy who's one of the top Medicare advisors and experts and most well-known people in the insurance industry that works with people on Medicare in the country, I believe. I've learned a lot from him personally. If you haven't listened to that podcast, I recommend it. He's a very insightful person, and I think me and him had a great conversation about a various number of things about Medicare and the insurance industry and what people on Medicare can do to make their lives easier. But this is a new day, and today I wanted to talk about a topic that is fascinating to me, and my dad recommended I talk to you about it, and I'm glad that he did because it was on my to-do list, and that is Medicare Part-B. Okay, so in the Medicare world, if you're not aware of this, okay, so if you make a certain amount of income, if your income is too high, let me put it that way, Medicare charges you more for Medicare Part-B. Typically, Medicare Part-B has a premium of $135.50 per month. Okay, $135.50. That is what probably over 90% of the people on Medicare pay. But if you make too much money, they can charge you more than that. And not just for Part B, they can also charge you extra for Medicare Part D, and I'll get into that in a second here. And I know everybody's going to want to know what I think about this. And I'll be honest with you, on topics like this, it can almost fall into the political category. So I'm a little hesitant to kind of share my perspective and my opinion on this because anytime I talk about anything that can be considered political, I am wrong in the eyes of half the people that listen. So I really try to stay away from it because I'm not going to win. No matter how strong I feel about this, half of you are going to be alienated and the other half of you are going to embrace me, but I don't want to alienate anybody. I don't care what you believe, what religion you are, what color you are. I don't care. I want to help you. If you're on Medicare, about to be on Medicare, whatever your situation is, I don't care. I care for you. And I care about what's best for you being on Medicare and getting onto Medicare and making the best choices for you because I believe people on Medicare are victimized today. They're victimized by the government, I believe, because they make it so confusing, for one. They make it so confusing. They make the information almost impossible to find. And they make people like me incredibly restrictive for me being able to put the information out there. I think they're partially to blame, but I also think people that do what I do, there's a lot of bad agents out there that either don't know what they're doing. I've talked about this before, depending on the source, anywhere between 88% to 94, 95%, depending on where you look, of people that work as Medicare brokers are out of the insurance industry in a 3-year period. So that means 90+% of everybody you can possibly talk to has been doing this less than 3 years. And that's really scary because for an industry as complex and ever-changing as Medicare, you need more than 3 years of experience to be giving people quality advice. That's my opinion. So people either don't know what they're doing because, like I said, so many people are under 3 years and there's just a revolving door of people that are agents coming in and out of the industry. That's number one. Number two, I believe that there's people that do know things and they don't want anybody to know more than what they want them to know because then they have the power over them. And that's just criminal in my mind. I think that's awful. I really do. And I believe that the person on Medicare, you deserve to be empowered. And the only way that you're ever going to be empowered is that you fully understand this stuff. You have to understand what your choices are. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to be an expert on this stuff, but you have to know it well enough to know what your options are and what your choices are and what is good for you and what is not good for you and why. That's the only way you're ever going to be empowered. And you're never going to be empowered if the information is kept from you. So I put myself out on the line by putting this information out in the way that we do. We just started frequently uploading videos to our YouTube channel. Search it, Christian Brindle. You'll see my emoji face, which is our company logo, because I am the company. The company's built around me. But we are uploading 3 videos a week. That's the plan. Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturday. Every single week. We want to be bringing 3 videos to people on Medicare. And so if you like watching videos, if you learn well from doing that, go check that out. But I digress. Anyway, back to my point. I hesitate. I cringe at the idea of sharing my opinion on anything political because I'm going to alienate half of you. I try not to do it. I try to keep it specifically about Medicare, but sometimes it can't be so cookie cutter. Sometimes I'm forced to kind of talk about what I think about some of this stuff because at the end of the day, Medicare is a government program, and the government is highly impacted by politics. I don't really have a choice, and some of this stuff is political issues. I feel like on this particular topic, I don't have a choice. I'm going to have to tell you what I think. I don't want to, because I know I'm going to get backlash from somebody, no matter what I feel. I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. But I'm going to tell you what I think. Here's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. We can agree to disagree on this if you're listening and you're just going to be outraged by what I'm about to say. But in my opinion, I think that the fact of the matter that people on Medicare that are over a certain amount of income have to pay more for Medicare Part-B premiums than everybody else is despicable to me. I think that's disgusting because they're being basically penalized. Not just penalized, they're being punished, is the way I look at it, for doing well. And it's not like they didn't pay into Medicare as much as other people. If they didn't, some people didn't. If they didn't, then I could understand that. But this has nothing to do with how much you paid in or how little you paid in. This has to do strictly with your income. And a lot of people that make higher incomes, a lot of times they pay a lot more taxes. You know? So a lot of those taxes are FICA taxes, which are Social Security and Medicare, so they probably might have paid in more than a lot of other people. It just rubs me the wrong way, folks. I don't like it. I don't think that you should be punished for doing well. Now, let me make my argument about this, and then I will transition to exactly what we're talking about in this topic. But I think it matters. I think this is relevant. Think about it like this. Let's say there's 2 guys. One guy's name is Tom, and the other guy's name is Ernie. Tom and Ernie. Tom is a regular blue-collar guy. Nothing wrong with him. He's a wonderful person. He's a family man. He makes $50,000 a year, supports his family. Let's say Ernie, he has a good job, a corporate job, but he's also a family guy, but Ernie makes about $200,000 a year. Okay, neither one of them are making millions a year, But let's say Tom goes into a market, a deli, and Tom wants to order a chicken sandwich. Tom pays $5 for this chicken sandwich, and that's what he charged. That's what he's charged. He takes it, he walks out. 10 minutes later, Ernie comes in. The guy sees Ernie coming. The guy knows that Ernie makes more money than Tom does. So he immediately changes the price to Ernie and tells Ernie it's going to be $15 for the same exact sandwich. That wouldn't be okay. That would be discrimination. So why is this any different? I hope I don't lose subscribers because of me sharing my opinion on this. I really hope you don't leave over this if you disagree with me. If you do, nothing I can do about it. I hope you don't, but if you do, nothing I can do about it. But that's my opinion on this, folks. I just feel like everybody paid into Medicare. If you don't pay a premium for Part A, you pay a premium for Part B, you paid as much in as somebody else. Everybody should be treated equally with this. This is my opinion. I don't like it. Wanted to make my comments known about this. But in the next segment, I'm going to specifically go on each and every level, because there's levels to this, as far as how much more you can be charged and exactly how it all works. Stay with me after a quick word from this week's sponsor, and I'll come back and talk with you in segment 2. What's up, everybody? Thank you for sticking with me into segment 2 of this week's Everything Medicare Podcast, episode 70. We are approaching 100 episodes quick and in a hurry, and I can't believe it. Today, we're talking about how much you pay if you make more income. Okay, so this is how they do it. They base this program. If you end up paying more for Part B and Part D, I'll get into that in a second here, but they base it off of what your income was 2 years ago. Okay, so for example, in 2019, they would base it off of your 2017 income. Next year in 2020, they'll base it in 2018, and so on and so forth. So it's always based off what you made 2 years ago. So let's say you had a good year at 63, and you turned 65, and you had retired at that point, and you're just living off Social Security, you'd still pay that extra amount because you made more 2 years ago. Okay, so that's how that works. So this is how this works. They base it off of if you file an individual tax return, because that's what they look at, your tax return. They base it off of if you file an individual tax return or a joint tax return. Okay, so it varies. So if it's an individual tax return, if you have to be under $85,000 a year for 2019. Now, this can change from year to year. As I'm reading this is the 2019 numbers. Under $85,000 a year, you're going to pay $135.50. If you're married and you're filing a joint tax return, it's $170,000 a year. Okay, so $85,000 a year for someone single filing their own tax return, $170,000 for a couple or a joint tax return to somebody else. Okay. $135.50 for Part B under that, and you don't pay anything for Part D extra. Now, if you pick up a Part D plan, let's say it's $20 a month, you pay the $20 a month. You don't pay any extra. If someone makes a higher income, they're going to have money attached to that premium on top of it. I'll get into that more in a second. So let's talk about the next level here. The next level is if you're greater than $85,000 a year. This is for individual tax returns. Just people that are single, basically. Greater than $85,000 a year and less than or equal to $107,000 a year. So basically anywhere between $85,000 to $107,000. Or if you're married, $170,000 to $214,000. Okay, so single, $85,000 to $107,000. Married, $170,000 to $214,000 a year. That will make someone pay $189.60 for Medicare Part B, plus $54.10 extra a month for their Part D plan. Now, this is the first question I always get out of people when we talk about this. What if you pick up a $0 premium Medicare Advantage plan that includes drugs? Well, that plan includes Part D coverage. So that $0 premium, it's going to have that $54.10 added on top of it. It's real crummy, in my opinion. So that's the next level. After that, you're anywhere between, if you're for an individual tax return, someone's single, $107,000 to $133,500 a year. So $107,000 to $133,500. You're then at $270.90 for Part B. If you're married, this number is $214,000 to $267,000 a year. And you pay an extra $135.40 for your Part D plan. So if you have, let's say, a Part D plan with a supplement, and you pay $20 a month for it, that's added on top of your $20 a month. That's a lot of money for that. It's really a penalty. They say it's not. They call it an income-related monthly adjustment amount. But it's a freaking penalty, is what it is, because not everyone else has to pay it. It's strictly based off of how much income you make. I don't disparage anybody for making less than anybody or more than anybody. That's my thing. I think that we should all be treated equal. Especially with this. I don't look at this as the same as paying higher taxes. I really don't. You know? But anyone that disagrees with me, obviously, is entitled to their opinion. That's okay. We can agree to disagree. That's what makes this country so great. Let's move up to the next level. So for someone single, $133,500 to $160,000. If you're married, this next level is $267,000 and up to $320,000. You pay $352.20 a month for Medicare Part B and an extra $216.70 for Part D. That's a lot of freaking money, folks. This is getting into like $600 a month for the two. That doesn't include a supplement if you get one, or a Medicare Advantage plan premium, or a Part D plan premium, or any of that stuff. That's all separate. Okay. Next level. We're now at greater than $160,000 and less than $500,000. So basically $160,000 to $500,000 for an individual, a single person. For a family, joint tax return, $320,000 to $750,000. We're then at $433.40 for Part B, $297.90 a month for Part D. If you're $500,000 and above for an individual, or $750,000 and above for someone married, you're then at $460.50 a month for Part B, and $325 a month for Part D. So that's really how this works. Granted, it's okay if you don't agree with me on this, but this is how it works. Regardless of how you feel, this is what they do. They don't care what you think. This is what you need to know. If you're someone listening to this and you have a significantly high income, or you did in years past or recent years, this is something that you need to keep in mind, especially if you're getting onto Medicare, because this can make your premiums higher. Keep this in mind. Stay with me into segment 3. We're going to take one more break and another quick word from this week's sponsor. Welcome back, folks, to our third and final segment of episode 70. Folks, I just wanted to end this out with one more thought. I am in the benefit for... I'm in this for your benefit. No matter who you are, no matter what your situation is, I want you to be in the best possible situation possible. That's what I want for you. So when I say things like what I've said about this in this episode, how I don't think it's right, it's because I'm trying to look out for clients of mine that fall into this particular category. And they feel like they're being treated unfairly, and I can understand why. But I would show the same amount of enthusiasm and the same amount of everything in having the back and protecting and having strong feelings about a client of mine that wasn't in this situation, but maybe in a different one. I want everybody to be taken care of, and I want everyone to get everything they can out of their Medicare. That's my agenda. That's my objective. Folks, I can't thank you enough for listening. I really, really hope this episode benefited you. I hope this kind of clears some things up and kind of pulls the sheet over something, because this comes as a surprise to a lot of people. They don't know this is going to happen until they get onto Medicare and they get a letter in the mail just being like, oh, just so you know, you're going to pay this much for all this stuff because of this. It's a shock to people. And I wanted to make it known so people could have the expectation. Folks, I can't thank you so much for listening. As always, if you listen to this podcast week after week, the biggest way that you can help me, the biggest way you can show us your support, is by leaving us a review on any platform that you might be listening to us on, specifically on the Apple Podcast. That's where we get more traffic than any other website. But although we broadcast on 15 different platforms, I believe, I think that's the right number, it might be 16, 14, I don't know, somewhere around there. But if you're listening to us on a platform that allows you to leave us a review, please do so. It really helps us. Leave us a 5-star review so that way that my message and our message can reach more people, because that's how people find us, by people leaving us reviews. I can't thank you enough for listening. You are wonderful. You're the reason why we've made it to 70 episodes. Because if we put this podcast up and it got no listens, probably wouldn't keep doing it. But we get so many kind remarks. We get so much support. Can't thank you enough. You folks are wonderful and fantastic, and I can't thank you enough. I'm thinking about maybe doing a drawing for my Medicare book. So if you'd like to see that, let me know through email, christianb@xmission.com, CHRISTIAN, B as in boy @xmission.com, christianb@xmission.com. Thanks for listening, folks, and I'll be bringing you another episode on Saturday. Thanks a lot.